Are you actually working the lats in a manner that would make it an effective exercise? No. Hello and welcome back to the channel in which I'm discussing some more things on the line. So I'm trying to make the intros a bit quicker because I know I do waffle on a bit, so I'm going to try to speed things up a tad. Here's the plan for today. We're going to talk about GainsByBrains. You're like, oh Harry, you've spoken about her recently. You're right, I have spoken about her recently. But it's recently come to my attention that she has a second channel in which she very much adopts a lot of home workouts and that kind of workout along with me style video. It's very similar to the likes of Caroline, Sydney, Heather, the kind of like big names in that sector. So we're going to have a gander at a few of those videos and see what's occurring. But before we do, obviously we must do what needs to be done. Well, I would say the light goal has once again been obliterated because it has. That's not news anymore. It's always obliterated and it's just absolutely slapped across the face. Fantastic. Love to see it. But the goal today will repeat the goal of last week, to make it true. 1100 likes in the first 24 hours would be bloody splendid, so we shall shoot for that. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel by clicking the red button down below and the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. And if you have a question you'd like me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week and I shall do so. But very quickly, we're going side on. Oh, no, we're not doing that. I'm a Disney princess. Princess Tea Party. Forgive me. My hair is mighty fluffy today. Let us do some things and discuss some things. A 10-minute upper body workout, arms, back, chest and shoulders, no equipment. I'm curious. The one thing I have noticed in most of these videos that I have seen is that Sophie, GainsByBrains, does include a warm-up, which is nice, because a lot of creators do not include a warm-up and maybe expect you to do it yourself, which some people don't. Naughty. Push-ups, to be honest, you expect this in any kind of upper body workout, especially if there's some push work involved, like chest or shoulders perhaps. Solid technique. That's actually bloody solid. I respect it. The reason I'm quite curious about this workout is if there's no equipment, I'm curious to see how she's going to target the back, the biceps and the shoulders, because those are notoriously quite difficult to target without any equipment. Yeah, obviously when you do any plank variation or any push-up variation, the shoulders are going to be jumping in. Anything push related is going to include the shoulders, and as you know, they're considered a push muscle group. And when I say push muscle group, I mean like chest, shoulders, triceps. When I say pull muscle group, I mean back and biceps, essentially. The tricep dip, although it is obviously a tricep movement, look at the range of motion. There's nearly nothing there. Like, there really isn't anything there, to be honest. If you are going to perform the tricep dip like this, I would obviously put your hand on a bench or an elevated surface to then increase the range of motion. Because ultimately, for the triceps to actually be doing something through a range of motion, the elbow is going to have to be extending, i.e. you have to be straightening the elbow against resistance. There is minimal range of motion. Was it a couple of inches maybe? There's not a lot of extension of the elbow here. Therefore, that's going to greatly limit how much the triceps are actually doing. Ultimately, yeah, they're probably going to burn because you're holding them in position. Due to how limited the range of motion of this movement is, I would not consider it to be a particularly effective tricep movement. And even if you were on an elevated surface doing dips like that, I'm personally not a massive fan of them. I think they can put your shoulder in quite a compromised position. And when you consider progressive overload, it's really hard to add resistance to that movement. And if you do, again, the shoulders are a bit compromised. I would personally replace this entirely and do more of like a narrow grip press up variation in which the upper arm is running alongside the torso rather than flaring, which then brings in a bit more of the triceps. Again, she's calling this a lateral raise, but it's not actually a lateral raise. Sure, you are resting on the arm in a manner that would fatigue the shoulders. It's more of like a rotation-based movement. I think in the mobility world, you would call something similar to this almost like a T-swing. Different names for it, different people call it different things. You will be burning it, and you will be hurting it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're working it. Because it can be assumed that the primary purpose of this workout is muscle building, hence why it's so muscle group focused. In order to optimize the building of a muscle, you must take it through a range of motion that lengthens the muscle and shortens the muscle. So when I say lengthens, that will be kind of going to the stretch portion of the muscle, like the eccentric, the way down. There's a monitor that I've just punched. And then when I say shorten the muscle, it means it's going through the concentric portion in which you are contracting the muscle. That's very hard to do at home. What you can consider doing is go into a push-up position, elevating your bottom almost like a pike position, and then doing a push-up in which your torso is more vertical because you're kind of like doing like a shoulder press push-up. I would deem that to be more of an effective shoulder movement than this, personally. The side plank, I like the side plank. Again, it's not my favorite oblique movement, but it is a good movement because I think the obliques are commonly neglected. Obviously, the obliques are part of the core, part of the midsection. Those are your obliques. Obviously, I can't show you because no one wants to see this mess, to be honest. So I'm actually doing you a service by not showing you because it is honestly, it's a bloody shambles. It really is hibernation season. The reverse plank, another movement I don't deem to be particularly effective. Again, I think this puts you in quite a compromised position. There are a few things I want to say. So it's an interesting workout, which I do understand. I do respect that she's tried to do this. I kind of get, based on the kind of structure of these workouts, I kind of get the impression that she's obviously in the likes of like Caroline being so effective and so popular with her workouts, and is maybe trying to jump on that because they're obviously clearly working very much for the individuals who do dominate that portion of the YouTube fitness scene. Regarding the workout itself, I think because there's no equipment involved, it's very difficult to actually effectively target the likes of like the back, for example, and that was evident from the workout we saw. There was a bit of lower back stuff in there, but there was no direct movements targeting the lats, for example, because you can't really do that without any equipment, and your kind of options are extremely limited unless you're doing pull-up variations or inverted row variations with your body weight, which obviously you can't. You would need some equipment for that. A big workout now. I say a big one because it's probably one I should pay more attention to due to the dead glutes that have been lingering in my life for far too long, 27 years now actually. 10-minute booty pump with dumbbell. So going to be straight with you, this is actually going to throw a few of the bros off. The pump doesn't really have any relation to how effective your workout is. Ultimately, if you really just wanted to pump, you could just do really high reps, really light weight, and just burn out really quickly. Doesn't mean you had a good workout, doesn't mean you're going to achieve muscle gain. Granted, it does have a place, don't get me wrong. When considering how effective a workout is, the biggest thing you want to look at is, did you manage to do more? Did you manage to progressively overload? If yes, yeah, that's a pretty effective workout if you ask me. I don't like the lack of chapters. I do like a chapter. As you know, my videos will have chapters if you weren't aware. The thing when you're doing something like this, like a sumo squat variation with the dumbbells between the legs, I really try and bring that upper body up. Make it kind of as upright as possible. The head position is good. As you can see, the head position is relatively in line with her spine. So as we know with the neutral spine, that doesn't mean just the back. The neck is part of the spine. Therefore, when they say neutral spine, we want from your tailbone to your neck to be aligned. So head down or head in the position your spine essentially wants you to look. Reverse lunge, solid movement, good range of motion. Let's have a gander all the way down. Or tickle, you see there's a little bit of a tickle there. Wait for it, tickle. That's what I mean by tickling the knee. Again, the head could probably come up a bit. It looks like she's a bit focused on what's going on below her sort of thing. B stance RDL. Yes, it does have a purpose. Yes, it is actually a movement. You have to be wary of some potential rotation. Hips might be whacking out over here. The upper body might be whacking down over there. Got to stay in line. This is really one of those ones you got to focus on being locked in, you know. RDL, again, a fantastic movement. Head positioning is bloody solid. See here, she's keeping the dumbbell as close to the body as possible. She's almost running the dumbbell down her legs. That's actually what I would often promote when doing an RDL or RDL variation. Keeping the weight that you're using, the dumbbell, the barbell, whatever it may be, as close to your body as possible. The further and further away from you it gets, the heavier and heavier it feels, obviously because it's further away from the center point. If the bar's far away from you, you're likely going to tip forward, it's going to feel a lot heavier, it's going to feel a lot harder, and you risk putting yourself in a compromised position, which could potentially increase the risk of injury. Hug it and hold it tight, just like I do to my dog on a winter evening, because no one does it to me. So the glute bridge, this is a standard in any kind of booty or glute or bottom exercise, or botty, whatever you want to say. I would expect this. I would just expect a glute bridge to be included, or a hip thrust, anything along those lines. Lateral squat, again, I think because of the nature of the workout being a home workout with a dumbbell, you are very limited to movements, which is very understandable. If you're working out from home and you have access to a single dumbbell, this movement or this workout is not that bad. I think she's covering a lot of bases, like with the RDL in there, a glute bridge. A question that a lot of people ask when I do cover home workouts like this, they'll say, okay, Harry, I don't want to go to the gym, for whatever reason that may be, and that's fair enough, but I want to make sure I am incorporating progressive overload. How can I do that if I only have a singular dumbbell? Well, you got to think about, okay, if you can't increase mechanical tension through weight lifted, how else can you chase that progressive overload? You can increase reps, you can increase sets, so increasing volume. Although I'm not a massive fan of time under tension stuff in most cases, I think in this case, when you are limited to how much weight you can shift, the consideration of increasing time under tension is there. Just make the movement longer, a pause rep perhaps make it harder through time. But there are a few ways you can incorporate progressive overload, so don't you fear, you don't just have to lift more weight. Although the kind of preferred way for many when looking at optimizing muscle gain is more weight, more reps. Something like that. 20-minute beginner back workout, dumbbell only. This could be a curious one because I'm curious to see how much of the back is actually being incorporated. What we're going to focus on is more the upper back, like the rhomboids, the lats, etc, etc. Okay, let's have a gander. So she's resting some weight on her leg, leading leg there. So you would have the leg on the side that is resting forward and the leg on the side that is working behind. So if you're rowing with the left arm, the left leg is going to be behind. So the big thing here is ultimately when you are looking at just emphasizing and prioritizing the lats, the peak contraction of the lats is about there, in which the upper arm is in line with the upper body. You go any further than that, like there, you are bringing in the mid back a bit more. Personally, what I would do is, you see there's like a windowsill there? I would personally lean on that windowsill instead of on the leg. When doing most movements for the purpose of optimizing muscle growth, I would probably focus on exploding on the way up, so shifting it from stretch to contraction, so the concentric portion, as quickly as possible, which granted if you're lifting heavy for you, isn't actually going to be that quick. Pinch the peak contraction for half a second or a second, which is obviously the position in which the muscle is at its shortest, and then control the eccentric. That's what we like to see when looking at a spicy clean rep. T-hold row is very much the same as like a dumbbell row, but this time it's with 2 hands. The weight is very limited that she is using. She's using an 8 kilo dumbbell. Is the weight you are using providing enough stimulus for the muscle to grow? And by that I mean to gain muscle, you need to be training to, if not close to, failure. If you can do this for 15 reps and you drop it, say, I probably could have got 15 more, you're not optimizing the workout, you're not optimizing how much muscle you could build from this workout. Don't be afraid to lift heavier. I know you think, oh Harry, but it does feel heavy. You're right, it does feel heavy, and it should feel heavy, but you also neglect to realize that you're strong and are more than capable of lifting it. If you have an 8 kilo dumbbell and 10 kilo dumbbell, grab the 10 kilo dumbbell. We would often call this a suitcase deadlift rather than a deadlift suitcase. I think it's not a bad movement. When my back was a bit spicy and I had to do some kind of like rehab stuff for it, I would often do a suitcase deadlift. Obviously this is where the obliques are going to come in, start firing to prevent you from kind of bending to the side. Really lock in the obliques, make sure you stay upright, locked in, solid as a rock, like straight like a pencil. Considering this is a back workout, yes, I would kind of back deadlifts in there, but this is very much more of a hamstring movement, I would say, and more of a glute movement. So I don't really see why they're in this one, and it's a back workout. I'm curious to know why the push-up is involved in a back workout. You've got to think about it. This is a push movement, so you're pushing weight away from you. I don't think push-ups have a place in this workout, personally. There is no resistance there. You're contracting, but your body and back, and especially lats, etc., are not really under tension. Are you actually working the lats in a manner that would make it an effective exercise? No. As a whole, just from the workouts I've seen, obviously I've not seen all of them, I've seen a few of them, some good things, some not so good things. I understand what she's doing, I appreciate what she's doing, I respect what she's doing. I think Sophie does promote a pretty good message when it comes to encouraging people, especially women, which are likely going to be her dominant audience, to resistance train and the benefits of resistance training, which again I do really appreciate and do really respect. The issue I have with these kind of workouts is it really depends why you're doing it. Like I said, some movements are good, some movements are good but maybe in the wrong place, and other movements are just not particularly that good at all. And this kind of actually leads us on to common question of the week. So what workouts do work then for fat loss? Is it only heavy weights and cardio? No cardio, dumbbells, squats, calorie counting, deficit? If you want to lose weight, want to lose fat, what I would say is this: lift weights, move more, eat less. So it doesn't need to be that complicated. When you're choosing a workout to follow, you have to ask yourself what the goals are. If your goals are purely calorie expenditure, then you essentially want to do a workout that involves a lot of moving, keeps the heart rate nice and high, you're kind of all over the place. Weight being used is less important there. If you want to do a workout that optimizes the gaining of muscle, weight being used is probably the most important factor there. How much weight you're shifting, how close you're going to failure. You want to mix and match the two. Workouts like Caroline's, where she does do some kind of faster paced, more like upbeat movements for the caloric expenditure, as well as some heavier resistance work like the split squats and things like that. Then it very much falls down to you. Is, are you lifting as heavy as you could? And are you lifting more and more each week, or doing more and more each week? When looking at efficiency, the human body is extremely efficient when it comes to burning calories. Let's say you run 3 miles, you'll be shocked at how few calories you actually burn running those 3 miles. That's why I think a lot of people, not everybody, can lose the weight that they want by lifting weights, walking more than they currently do, let's say 10 to 15,000 steps a day, who knows, it depends how much you do currently, and eating in a deficit. Tick all of those boxes and you'll be surprised that you could probably achieve your goal weight, if you do have one, just by doing those things without actually needing to do any cardio like high intensity interval training, low intensity steady state, anything like that. When it comes to what workouts do work, that depends on your goals and what you want from a workout. But as I've said before, and I will always say, the best workout for you is the one that you can remain most consistent with. As with all of my videos, these are merely my thoughts and opinions. As I said at the start of the video, 1100 likes in 24 hours is the goal on this video, so if we could hit that, that'd be bloody splendid. Please do consider clicking the red button down below and the bell next to it to subscribe to the channel. And if you too have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below in the comment section with a comment question of the week and I shall do so. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my Princess Tea Party. And thank you for tolerating the video.